young Abigail could see you today, so would she feel proud of you or would she be surprised?
It was a no-brainer when I thought about it that the only way you can make decisions with you, for you, and with others is for you to stand and be counted because representation matters.
When you first arrived in the UK, was there a moment you felt that I don't belong here?
Sometimes you walk into a room, you're the only colored person. Sometimes you can feel, the body language, they're not sure whether to connect with you. So two adverse things that has happened to me in my life that has actually changed the course of my life.
So, did you ever feel like you had to prove yourself twice, once as a woman and again as an immigrant from Nigeria?
A passionate advocate for diversity, inclusion, and community development, Ms. Abigail Marshall Katung has become a prominent voice in public service and civic leadership. As the mayor of Leeds, she is dedicated to building stronger communities, promoting equality, and creating opportunities for all. Her journey from Nigeria to becoming the first Black Lord Mayor of Leeds reflects resilience, determination, and a deep commitment to serving others. Through her leadership, she continues to inspire positive change and help shape a brighter future for the city and its people.
Some journeys are about success, but some journeys redefine what success even means. From Nigeria to becoming the Lord Mayor of Leeds, one of the United Kingdom's most vibrant and influential cities. This is not just a political story, this is a story of identity, resilience, and belonging. Today, we're honored to be in conversation with the Honorable Councillor Abigail Marshall Katung, who's the former Mayor of Leeds City Council. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
So, to begin with, ma'am, I'd like to say that before the titles, before leadership, I'd just like to ask that who was Abigail growing up in Nigeria?
Abigail was a very young, vibrant girl from Nigeria, and I have always been the kind of young girl who has always been at the forefront leading, I would say, from being a very young girl and being the first girl of my family. And with our culture,
That's right.
first girls hold a very huge responsibility. So I would say from a very young age, I had a huge sense of responsibility, even as a child.
All right. So, ma'am, was there a moment that quietly shaped the strength you carry today in your life?
Yes. So two adverse things that has happened to me in my life that has actually changed the course of my life. First was losing my father at a young age of 22, 23. And we were all very young. And I had to grow up looking after my younger ones and my mother. And that really shaped and changed my life because we had everything when my father was alive. And all of a sudden, when he died, everything went with him. And I must say, all the words of growing up and trying to work hard to be who you are came all back from what my father used to say to us because we realized that his absence in our lives, a lot of things went with him. So I had to make sure I worked really hard to be where I am today and to make
Mm.
sure my younger ones and my mother are well looked after. So that really shaped. And then, of course, the birth of my twin boys also shaped how I see life because all of a sudden there are two little babies that depend 100% on you and you can't say you're tired. And just the thought of them each day I wake up, I am motivated to make sure that my today is better than yesterday.
That's amazing. So, if young Abigail could see you today, so would she feel proud of you or would she be surprised?
I think she'll be very proud. Yeah, definitely. I think she will say, "Well done, Abigail." I'm not surprised. So I think she will be very proud. Yeah.
That's wonderful. All right. So, ma'am, I just come on to the immigration part and the identity, which changed completely when you traveled from Nigeria to the UK. So, let me ask you this very honestly, and that when you first arrived in the UK, was there a moment you felt that I don't belong here?
I think the only moment I felt was the weather. It was
Okay.
too cold compared to where I was coming from. And I thought, how can the world be so cold? That was the only time I would feel I didn't belong. So, yeah, I would say I felt comfortable. in the city of Leeds from the very beginning.
So you've been in Leeds since the very beginning.
I have, yes. So I came to University of Leeds and I have never changed cities since I came, and it's been 26 years.
All right, that's great. So did you ever feel like you had to prove yourself twice, once as a woman and again as an immigrant from Nigeria?
Oh, absolutely. It's my lived experience, and not just for myself, a lot of people of color, immigrants who have come here, you have to always work twice as hard. People say that sometimes three, four times. I do say politics is very tough for a woman, and for a woman of color in this country, I would say it's tougher.
You've done amazingly for that. Yeah. So do you think that immigrants in leadership have to be twice as good to get half the recognition?
Absolutely. We just have to excel, to be recognized. And that's just the way it is. There are certain things that we don't have the automatic privilege, because of our race and because of who we are as immigrants as well, sometimes sadly. But that's the reality, that we find ourselves working twice, three times as hard just to be in certain positions. But that's the reality. And for me, it makes us stronger because it doesn't kill us.
So I'll just ask something little personal in this, that was there ever a moment you almost gave up but nobody knows about it?
Oh, yeah. There are lots of times that, you're so exhausted with trying to prove your point. You're exhausted with trying to make them understand that from your own lens, we are actually different. And that's why we do things differently. And sometimes that is not perceived correctly. But, it's our job. And I find myself having to explain myself over and over again. And that can be very exhausting.
So what actually kept you going up in that moment?
My persistence, I would say, because the difference between giving up and not giving up is persistence. So we were trained to have a lot of courage to start and keep going. We were also trained to just keep making progress no matter what happens. And that's where our resilience and consistency comes to play, especially as a leader, that whatever comes your way, just keep going, knowing that hard times will always pass.
That's so true. That's so true. So today, how do you see yourself as a Nigerian or a British or something in between? How do you define yourself today?
Well, I'm a British Nigerian woman. That's how I always define myself. I always say I am fortunate to come from two different parts of the country. Most of my adult life, I have lived here in Britain, and I lived in Nigeria for 23 years before I came here. So I've got a mixture of both, which makes us very, very unique.
And
Because
diverse as well. Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So what I'll just shift on to the political part of things now. So what made you step into the politics, and knowing how difficult that space is, how you came up into that?
So I studied in the Department of Politics and International Relations. I have always been very huge on policy making. And I understood, from my theory, for you to be able to put your policies into real life, you've got to be within the political space. And the only way you can be in political space is for you to put yourself forward to be an advocate for those policies. So it was a no-brainer when I thought about it, that the only way you can make decisions with you, for you, and with others is for you to stand and be counted, because representation matters. And that drove me um, to, into politics.
Okay, so what was your first real political battle, and what did it teach you about power?
So my first political battle will be trying to get selected to be a candidate, because the way it
As a
works
counselor.
as a counselor,
Okay.
the way it works with different parties, you have to prepare yourself, go through training. So all of that, I did that with no problem. But when it came to saying, I would like to be an elected member of Leeds City Council, then all of a sudden you find yourself with other people who are as well very competent, like yourself, all of us putting ourselves forward. So I remember in my time in 2018, my seat that I was going for was a vacant seat at the moment. Somebody had retired, and there was 5 of us, and it was an all women shortlist, meaning only women could stand for that particular seat, which is great because it helps with representation. And there was 5 of us, all 5 very competent. ladies wanting just the one seat. So for me, that was my very first battle for politics. And there were 22 people in the room to make the decision to choose amongst us. And out of the 22, 14 people voted for me. And that took me through. And obviously, you had to a lot of knocking on doors, telling them what you're about, telling them what you're able to do. And it's never, never easy when you're going into the political sphere for the first time. So I would say that was my first political battle.
That's amazing. So, I would want to ask that what does actually the power feel like when you know people are judging you differently?
When people are judging you differently, lots of times for me, it's their ignorance that I can see through. Because at the end of at the end of the day, I always say, no matter where you come from, there's just only one human race. And when I'm treated differently because of the color of my skin that I did not choose, then whoever is treating me differently, as far as I'm concerned, that's an ignorant person, because we definitely have far more in common than divides us. So I have zero tolerance for people who would judge me just because of the color of my skin. I focus on the content.
That's so true. So, I would just come on to the day you became the Lord Mayor of Leeds, which is a huge, huge position, and that too in such a big city here in UK. So, what was happening inside you in that exact moment, and how all those things aligned, and how did that position come up towards you?
So January 17th of 2024 was the day I was announced. So normally you have to be elected by your colleagues to be the Lord Mayor of the city. And that happened within my colleagues. It was unanimous. Nobody stood against me. So that was very kind of all my colleagues. And to me, that showed that they actually wanted me to be. The announcement was made on the 17th of January 2024. And oh my goodness, from Nigeria to the UK, different parts. The congratulations and the joy in the air. I've never felt a sense of responsibility like I felt that day. And then the 24th of May, 2024 was the day, we call it the May making. That's like your
Amazing.
inauguration. And I had over 100 dignitaries who actually came from Nigeria, and that spoke volumes for me. The city was buzzing, and I just knew how important representation means to so many people, that being the first of African descent and the 103rd, so that means it's taken 130 years
Yes, yeah.
for that to happen. And it's a day I think I would live with for the rest of my life. But it was an amazing day to become.
So, I think that was the first Nigerian citizen to become the mayor of Leeds.
That's right.
That's amazing. That's a huge, huge achievement. All across Africa, you would have got a lot of messages for that as well.
I did. Yeah, social media went berserk as well, but it was amazing. Yes,
That's great.
yeah.
So, coming ahead, I'd like to ask that what is one decision as the mayor at that time that truly tested your leadership?
Um, there were quite a few, and I remember one of the most important decisions that I had to make and I had to back down was, as at the beginning of your mayoral year, you have to outline the kind of activities you would like to do, how much you would like to raise to help and celebrate the city and organizations. And out of all the things I wanted to do, there was one thing I wanted to do, which was called an um, elderly Olympics. I wanted a little Olympics for older people from the age of 60 and above, where they could come together. Those who could walk would walk, sit, whatever. And everything was going well. And all of a sudden, it backtracked because I was told that some people were unhappy and they felt it was discriminatory. And if anybody knows me, I am one person who
Mhm.
does, for me to even want to have an Olympics for all the people, that should even show you how inclusive
Yeah, that
I
sounds more inclusive rather than
exactly.
discriminatory.
But that at that point, as a leader, I had to think, should I give up? Should I fight it or should I let it be? And it was quite difficult for me. And I thought, Abby, you get to a point in your life, you choose your battles. And at that point, I let it be. But that still haunts me till today.
Okay. So yeah, because what I first thought when you told me about that, that sounds very much inclusive because you're bringing up this people of the city who are more elderly and who
Absolutely.
usually don't get a lot of opportunities like
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people see leadership as a very glamorous thing, so what is the hardest part that no one talks about behind the closed doors?
Yeah, so some of the decisions you have to make, the times that you have to be there for everyone, forgetting sometimes yourself and your family. Those are the times, those are the things that people don't see behind the scenes where we put everyone first and forget ourselves. You know, my mayoral year, I literally just threw myself. I completed 756 official engagements in 12 months. And that is a lot of engagement. But people don't see when you're so exhausted behind the scenes and sometimes tears are rolling down your eyes, but you've got to pick up yourself, you've got to dress up, and you've got to show up. So there's a lot of the planning behind you coming forward. All people see is the glamour. You know, you've dressed up, there's the preparing your speeches, rehearsing your speeches, apologizing to your family that you cannot be there at important moments for them because you're there to serve the city. So those are the things that people don't see behind the scenes, and all they see is, you come out, you're smiling, you're reading your speech, and you're being inspiring. But then, yes, there was a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
So you mentioned around 756 engagements throughout the year. So that would be probably like two engagements a day.
Sometimes 5 to 6, 7
So
a
that's a
day.
huge number. So
It
people would
is.
probably know that through this.
That's
That's the number of engagements or city work you had been up to during your tenure.
that's correct.
So,
Yes.
ma'am, let's be very honest here. That is diverse. I would like to ask that is diversity in leadership truly real today, or still something or somewhat performative?
We've done very well. We're not where we need to be, but I think a lot of progress has been made. As you can see, I was made the first citizen of the city, and if it's taken us 130 years, it has happened.
Yes.
And most of the time, we know that once it has happened, then at least you have opened the doors for
For
others to come through because other people can see themselves and say, if Abigail could do that, I could. And I am proud that, we are where we are today. And I really hope that we will continue in that wish for diversity to continue around in our council here.
So, moving ahead, ma'am, that I'd like to ask that have you ever felt tokenized like diversity is welcomed, but only to a limit?
Yes, sometimes you walk into a room, you're the only colored person. Sometimes you can feel, the body language, they're not sure whether to connect with you. And you have to sometimes make that extra effort to make them understand that you're just a normal person, just
Right,
like them.
that's right.
So, yeah, that does happen sometimes.
All
Yes.
right. So, ma'am, if you had absolute power for one day, what is the one thing you would change immediately?
I would say for me, I don't use the word power. For me, it is service. And if I would change anything, is to make people more tolerant of each other by making sure we continue to have events and activities that amplifies the diverse cultures in our city and the world and make other people feel comfortable around people who look different from them. That would be the first thing, and I would always continue to do wherever I find myself.
That's great. So, ma'am, what is one uncomfortable truth about leadership that people don't talk about?
When you have to, there are times as a leader, you have your inner convictions about certain things, but it is not about you, it is about the people. So you will have to go with what the people feel is best, and then you give them the backing and the support. So as a leader, that can be difficult when in your heart you feel, no, I can't do this, I won't do this. But because the people who have elected you to serve, that is what they want. As a leader, you have to listen for you to be effective.
That's great. So, for someone sitting in a small town right now, anywhere, not just in UK, anywhere in the world, So, and he or she might be feeling limited because of their resources or because of the place they are currently. I'd just like to ask that what are the three principles according to your life journey, your experiences, your leadership goals? What are your three principles that you think you would pass on to them so that they can rise globally?
I will say start. The difference between starting and not starting is courage. So have courage. Very important. Secondly, the difference between making progress and not making progress. That means learning and every day let your tomorrow or your today be better than your yesterday is consistency. So first, be courageous. Second, whatever you're doing, make sure you're making progress and you're consistent. Thirdly, do not give up. The difference between giving up and not giving up is persistence. So I would say persevere, because hard times will come. You have to be determined to go through it. So the three things: first, have courage. Secondly, be consistent. And thirdly, persevere.
That's great. So I myself learned a lot of things today. So, ma'am, another three leadership lessons as per you, you learned the hard way.
Yes. So you learn the hard way. Always expect the unexpected, because things will happen. Okay. And you don't throw yourself and forget yourself. And then life isn't fair. So once you remember those two things, that anything happens, always expect the unexpected. And my dad taught me that life isn't fair. And the third, determination and hard work will be the key to your success.
Okay, so particularly asking that what changed inside you that changed everything outside you.
Belief. I would say I believe, and every single day, that's what makes me know that it can happen. You have to, because nobody can make you have to, it has to come from your inside and build that I can do attitude, because there are times that you're so exhausted and you think you can't go any further. But I have to tell myself, Abigail, you can. I always remember where I have come from a developing country in the west of Africa. I came here on my own as a young girl, and I'm like, you can't give up now. Just keep going. So that little inner voice reminding me of where I have come from. And then that helps me appreciate where I am and where I'm going to.
That's fine. So, ma'am, as per your experience, as per your knowledge, I'd like to ask that how should young leaders prepare for a world that feels increasingly divided as we move ahead in the years?
Yeah, so we live in a very undivided world. We're in a very divided world. But I will tell every leader, stand for what you believe in. Be a huge advocate for change. One of the most constant things in life is change. Do not settle for less. Do not make anyone make you feel inferior. You have to allow it. So even in a world full of division, hold your head up and speak your truth. Do not be afraid of anyone. Yes, life could throw you lemons. Make lemonade from it.
That's so true. So, I'd like to ask that what did success cost you personally?
Oh, success has cost me a lot of things. Success has cost me my friends. Success has cost me some family members. Success has cost me my reputation sometimes, but at the same time, success has also made me who I am today, has brought me to a global platform, has, lots of people, I'm on the streets. Are you Abigail? Lord, may everybody, so success has got its pros and its cons, but I focus more on the pros of my success. But yes, they say when you're the head, you will make headlines. So unfortunately, with success, anything, that happens, straight up, you're on headlines. But
So,
yes.
do you think was it worth it?
It was definitely worth it, but sometimes it's daunting. Okay, but I do understand that if you're not as important as you are, then the headlines will have nothing to say about you.
Yeah. So, coming from Nigeria, building everything up on your own, raising your family, taking care of your children, and then becoming a counselor, then becoming the first Nigerian citizen to be the Lord Mayor of Leeds. So I just asked that what keeps you so grounded despite everything you've achieved?
I would say service and my faith keeps me very grounded. I am a Christian. I've learned to walk in humility. Most importantly, to never stop learning, and learning helps you tolerate more, makes you more adaptable, makes you understand other people that are different from you. So I would say that keeps me going, that keeps me grounded and focused, knowing what do I need to do to make myself better and the world around me better than yesterday. Once I know what that is, I pursue that.
Okay. So, ma'am, when everything is silent, behind your own closed doors, when you're not acting as a counselor or working in the society as a leader or as a person who is doing his day-to-day service as a counselor, apart from being the Lord Mayor of Leeds earlier, what do you do? And beyond the titles, what is your daily life like?
So one thing people don't know about me, some people do, I love to sleep. I love to sleep because my brain is always on overdrive. I'm very active. I'm an athlete. I coach young people. So when I am behind the scenes that nobody sees me doing, I am sleeping. Very, very important.
So that's the reset button.
That's correct.
Okay. So if your entire journey had to become one message for the next generation, what would it be?
Be determined, never give up, and believe you can.
All right. So, ma'am, you just recently attended the 16th World Leaders Summit on the 10th of April, just 2 days before. So, I'd just like you to share how was your experience? How did you find the interaction over there? What was your experience altogether?
Yes. So the 16th World Leaders Summit, honestly, for me, it was such an absolutely beautiful atmosphere. Just seeing the diversity in the room, celebrating culture, the saris from the beautiful women, the awardees, the general organization, and for me, bringing different people from different parts of the world. That is something I always love to see because that's who we are. You know, we are not just just the same people, and our diversity is what unifies us and makes the world beautiful. And that's why we've got the rainbow, different colors, you know. So being at the summit in Oxford, which was my first at the university, that was beautiful. And of course yourself, you know, getting in touch, making sure we were there, and the awards, I thought that was really, really very kind. And yes, I would say I thought it was a first for me. Thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Definitely. So, one more message I would like you to pass on to everyone, be it a younger person or an adult, that how would you ask them to be of service to their parents once they age up? Because in Western societies, what happens is children usually move out of their places. So, as per you, as per your knowledge, as per your experience, as per you being a mother and knowing your mother as well, how would you tell the younger generation to be in touch with their parents? Because if a senior leader of a society like you passes on a message, they would hear on to it more keenly.
Yes. So communication is really, really important, and making sure that our younger generation is all about living by example. First of all, we grew up seeing what our parents did with their parents, okay? And we automatically imbibed that. So I feel that our generation, our role is to also show our children what it means to respect family, to respect people who are older than you, and to also look after your older ones. We were once looked after by our parents, and it's only fair that when they're now old, we should remember when once upon a time we were also not able to look after ourselves and they looked after us. So it's only fair. So we need to also consistently remind our young people that caring for your adult parents is so important, and the blessing that comes from it is priceless. So that's all we owe our young generation, to keep letting them know that it's your responsibility to care for your parents who brought you up and your family. Never forget where you have come from. And family is the first unit of every society. And that's why there is a saying, charity begins at home. So let's learn to love from the home, and then we can now take it to the outside.
That's a great of a message for people to hear. So from Nigeria to leading a British city, this journey proves one thing. Leadership is not about where you start, it's about how far you're willing to rise. Councillor Abigail Marshall Katung, thank you for sharing your story with the world. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for coming to Leeds.
It's an honor, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
It's an honor.